Today I'm going to be doing a Bluetooth antenna upgrade. After looking through a bunch of different options, I found one from iSimple that plugs in between your antenna, which I thought was pretty nice. This one does have the Bose. There are a couple other options from iSimple. One I had in the past only lasted like a year and a half and finally failed. You can't connect to it anymore, and that's the one that actually plugs in between the two connectors on the back of the radio. It was kind of spotty. It would only connect to like one phone. If you did connect to another phone, you had to reset the whole thing. It was kind of a pain. So the brand's decent. I think that it's more just the kind of CAN bus system in these things where every module's talking and doesn't really like interference. So this unit does plug in between your antenna and the factory radio, and it works for basically everything. BMWs, Volkswagens, all the ones that you have a hell of a time replacing the head units on, 'cause you have to replace the speakers because they're all weird impedance and all that stuff, and weird ohms. I really like this idea. One thing to remember on your newer GMs, I want to say it's like 2002 and newer, they all run a really weird antenna. So this is just the standard old large antenna, adapter, whatever you want to call it, which looks like that dude, just your old school, pre-90s stuff. These have a really strange specific antenna plug-in, which I was able to find the correct adapters, fingers crossed. I know for sure that the antenna end looks like this because I did pull it apart already just to verify it. And here is we're going to call it our male, I guess, which is actually the antenna. They call the female end the antenna wire. So your radio technically has the male, but this configuration should work. I'll show the part numbers. I think they're like $10 a cable on Amazon. This unit was $95, so with tax, $100, whatever. So $120 should be able to upgrade it. I was looking at different options on replacing with a new touchscreen nav. I did one in a VW bus that worked out awesome. The head unit's amazing. It's like $1,000 for the head unit alone, but if it was something that I could plug in and actually work, great. But then I started going into, that's right, it's Bose. You got to get rid of the factory amp. You got to get rid of all the factory speakers. And generally you have to rewire the whole truck. No, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to spend the money or the time on it. For $120, $125, I think this will make her really happy, and be able to actually stream some music is about all she wants to do anyways. This does allow just to be able to run, call answering and stuff like that as well. It comes with a microphone. So I think that this will be real simple. I'll show you how to pull the panels off. All you need is a flat pry tool, and just don't be real aggressive. The panels just pop off, take you 5 minutes to get to the radio. Worst part's going to be just grabbing a switch power. We'll just do that right at the fuse block inside under the dash. I'll show you which connector it is, and I think I've got a couple mini taps, so it shouldn't be a problem. But we'll get it pulled apart, and hopefully this thing is just as simple as I say it is. Our videos are maybe 10-15 minutes long, and boom, $120, $25. You got yourself a modern nicety. Play Spotify, iHeartRadio, whatever you want to do it, and answer hand-free calls. So all you need to do is get a pry tool. These little plastic kits you can get at Harbor Freight for $3 or whatever. Start with your passenger side panel, and there's maybe 6 clips that actually hold this thing on. It's really not hard to get to. You just get up underneath it a little bit, and you don't want to be super aggressive, and it literally just pops out. It's kind of almost upsetting how easy and kind of almost cheap it is to pop this whole assembly apart. Next, you're going to go with your cup holder area. If I can get this thing down here to show you a little better how to get this one out. And this one, you don't really need anything prying tool-wise. I don't know how good of a video this is going to be, sorry. Basically, if you just grab the cup holder up underneath this back lip, you kind of just wiggle and pop it out. Like that. That unit comes right out, super easy, and it's gross usually down underneath there. Let's see here. This is probably the worst part of it. This is all one piece, and they like to break down here at the thinnest spot, so you want to be very gentle with it and just take your time. I usually try to start down lower just to kind of relieve the pressure a little bit. And then once you get up underneath here, again, just lightly pry. And she should release super easy. Hello. Just like that. And you'll have your connectors for air traction control. And also your information display. And there you go, you're right to the radio. This unit down here for your HVAC, your climate control, is separate. You don't need to take these 4 screws loose. So there's just 6 screws, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 7 millimeter, and you're rocking and rolling. 7 millimeter. Takes just a second. And there we have it. Your antenna is right on the back side. I'll grab the camera here in a second and show you a little better. Like I was saying earlier, this is pretty easy to do. You got to kind of pull this collar out. It just pops off. And like I said before, those adapters should be the right orientation. So now that I have this thing separated, you can see it does look correct. I'm going to grab my adapters and just confirm that they plug in the correct orientation. The male end goes to where I think it's going to. The output signal from the box goes into the radio head unit. And I will run a wire, get some power to it, and that should be it. So we'll see what we have going on here, and I do have these adapters correct. So like in a normal application, they're saying you have your large regular antenna. This is going to plug into my factory cable. Plugs into, we're just going to say the antenna side, goes into our magic box, comes out into our next adapter, and this looks like our factory antenna wire that plugs into the head unit. So we're cool there, I know that. Ends look good, part numbers will be in the description, I'll throw them in the comments too. And then also, obviously you can see the part number on this, but I'll throw a link to Amazon where I got all this stuff from. You will have to mount a little button for your push to talk, not a big deal. It does come with the microphone. I'll route that the same time that I do route the power cables for the unit. This one does have the auxiliary input, so if the stereo or your head unit does have that, that's an option instead of using your antenna. That's something I didn't know about. This stereo entertainment system does have the auxiliary inputs in the rear, so I guess you could probably hook it up that way. But just for everything staying up under the dash and not sticking a cable back to where the kids can break it off, I'm going to go ahead and just spend the extra $20 and hook it through here. I guess you're supposed to put it to like channel 98.1 or something like that to be able to activate it. I don't know if you have to download the app or not, but either way, I'll kind of get into that, setting it up once the install's done. Looks like it's going to be fairly straightforward anyways. Have to lengthen these wires a bit. I'm going to tape this off, insulate it good so it doesn't touch anything under the dash and ground out. But yeah, I mean, this shouldn't be more than maybe a 10-15 minute video. I will pop the bottom cover off. There's just 2 Phillips screws, I believe, on this thing. Yeah, there's just a couple Phillips that hold this lower panel on, and then your fuse panel just pops off. There's like a little handle underneath it. So very easy, very limited tools. I do already have a mic for my old unit ran up. Just pull the weather stripping down. I'll show you that as well when I get there. And one thing not to forget is there is one hidden 10mm up behind your brake release. You can see it. And then your panel is basically free. I'm gonna need both hands to pull it, so I'm gonna put the microphone in. You can easily just kind of hide this cord down underneath your airbag cover there. Be a little easier with both hands. Like I said, this weather trim just pops out. And then you just kind of snake her down through, hide it behind the trim, pop your trim back in, run your wire down through. And then they decided to give you about 5 miles of this stuff, luckily. So it's easy to snake it through up into the cavity up behind the radio, which I already did plug the antenna sections in. It works good. I'm going to be tucking everything down on top of that body controller or whatever it is down there. There's a nice little space that this box is going to fit. All the extra wiring and everything's going to fit and not be interfering with the unit I'm installing, because it is, even with the factory wiring harnesses, it's really tight in there. So yeah, just down underneath that little barcoded body module or whatever, tuck everything back up in there, and it should be pretty straightforward actually. I went ahead and soldered up my connections for the push to talk button, and just sitting in here, I think I'm gonna put the push to talk button right up there. When it's in gear or whatever, it'll be the easiest thing to touch to activate it. I should be able to route it easily around that air vent and everything. So I'm not gonna be able to show the actual just kind of pushing cables around and stuff because I'm by myself videoing, but I think you get the hint. This is pretty simple. And in a few minutes here, I'm gonna start doing a little test light action and see which of our fuses we'll be mini tapping to grab power to this unit. And before I final install everything, we're gonna make sure that it functions before we put the dash panels back in. But yeah, I think this should be another, like I say, 15-20 minute job, and either make yourself or make Mama real happy that she can listen to whatever kind of weird music she listens to. Slight change of plans after pinning out this whole fuse panel over here. None of them are switch power, so awesome. So on the back of your radio, this is the Delco. You got 4 connectors. The second from the driver's side is the power. Your red and white wire is constant. And on the other side of it is a solid yellow at the bottom corner here. I guess it's the top corner if you're looking at it this way. If I can see it, that very top corner pin, that yellow wire, that is your switched. So I hate doing it this way, but I'm gonna break my own rule and use our cheese tap so I don't have to cut it and splice it's too tight back there. I don't want to pull everything apart. So yeah, I guess in the end you wouldn't have to extend your factory harness if you didn't want to. I thought we were gonna go the fuse panel, so I did anyways, and actually located the ground right in this hoop. There's nothing behind it, so you're clear to stick a self-tapper, and it also gives me a spot to hide the rest of the antenna wire and zip it up out of the way so it doesn't fall down in your footwell. But just figured to update where we're getting power from. If you didn't want to run down here, then you probably just remove the whole head unit, and there's plenty of metal bracing back there that you can stick a self-tapper to if you didn't want to deal with extending the wire at all. But yeah, I think just in the interest of getting this job done, I'm just gonna give the old cheesy tap a little shot there. And whenever you do this, I very, very seldomly do, but I always stick a multimeter or your test light against it to make sure that it did penetrate the sheath of the wire. So finish up this install quick. Everything else is routed and ran. The mic tucked up underneath here nice, so you even got it dirty. And just pop the weather trip or the weather seal back on. All right, so now that we got it all hooked up, I'm at 98.1. I guess you can set it to another channel if you want, but why? you do have to have the app. And what I found is your Bluetooth, once you set it up, it automatically connects to the Transit Blue HF, which is connected. Once it is connected to your phone, Android anyways, it seems to work just fine. The only thing that you're gonna kind of, I guess, be a little pain is that you're gonna have to shut your Bluetooth all the way off so it doesn't auto-connect. Otherwise, it won't allow you to actually use any of the FM stations. So keep that in mind when you are looking at this system. It's probably fine because 90% of the time she's going to listen to streaming music anyways. And I guess if it's just a hassle for you to shut your Bluetooth off, then it is what it is. But I was just kind of concerned that, you know, I'm probably not going to sync my phone to this, so it's not that big of a deal for me anyways. But that's one thing I just wanted to point out. The yellow wire worked fine. Everything's working the way that it's supposed to. My push-to-talk button works. So yeah, I'm just going to finish up the install on it quick and do a finished product video with everything in place, and we should be all good to go. Sound quality is really good, that I'll show you here in a little bit, and I'll show you a little bit more of the app too. So the app is very basic, and I don't think you really use it for much other than just syncing your phone to it. I clicked add device. It says go to settings, enable Bluetooth, allow communication. You push yes, and then that's basically all you use this for. It does show you that it is connected to iPhone or whatever it says. So once you get it connected, it auto connects, like I say, which is really nice. I was kind of worried about having to go in manually setting it every time. Once you do turn on your Bluetooth, you can put it on your playlist, whatever you want. The sound quality's good, so pretty happy with it. You can still control volume and everything through your phone if you wanted to, or I'm sure that the hand controls still work from the steering wheel.
That's what I gave you.
Oh, thank you, Victor. But yeah, pretty nice setup. The only one thing I would mention is you're gonna have to shut Bluetooth completely off on your phone if you wanted to listen to radio stations. Otherwise, this feels just like every other Bluetooth enabled stereo modern kind of thing anyways. Hope this helps somebody out. A couple little hints in there. If you're not wanting to use a T-tap, obviously you can solder a wire in. Other than that, this is about as easy as it gets. Keep an eye on the comments and description for the part numbers for the cables, or links to the cables. And if you like the video, please hit like and subscribe. I would definitely appreciate it. Thanks for watching, everybody.